All right, so also on the trade deadline, we know that there's been incessant speculation, most of all on this year's program, about Deshaun Watson, and specifically Deshaun Watson in Miami. And it's just me, I guess in my old age, Chris, I'm just trying to identify my own blind spots and be as fair as possible and not be so dug into my preconceived notions. But I, like you, I believe, I was not that high on Tua Tagovailoa coming out of Alabama. But the kid rehabbed a devastating hip injury. Gone are the days when we wait for rookie quarterbacks to develop and give them an opportunity to learn on the job. Got thrown in there before he should have. I maintain that Brian Flores never wanted to play him. No one made him play him. That's why they pulled Fitz when they did. But also got pulled out of games when he struggled. This year has to live with the Deshaun Watson rumors. While he doesn't have a running game, wide receivers in and out of the lineup, defense not playing like it should. And I know he's had his fair share of mistakes. Meanwhile, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow light the world on fire. Am I missing anything? And then the kid comes out and says, I don't not feel wanted. So I'm just asking myself, does this kid just need more time? We talked about Tua time, and we just need more time to mature and to grow. He's at Buffalo this week. He'll probably get the brakes beat off of him. But have we been unfair to Tua Tagovailoa from a national perspective? Dolphins fans seem to love him. But from a national perspective, have we been unfair and impatient with Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, I think so. But, again, that comes with the territory when you are the number 5 pick of the draft. I think there is that. And let's not forget, he did make comments in the offseason that, he didn't know the playbook and didn't quite work as hard at knowing it as he should have. That's certainly not going to go over good with any organization. But I think, hey, regardless of all that, yes, hey, the microscope's on him. There's no doubt about that. But I always go back to almost the first training camp. There was very little buzz right off the bat about Tua, even from the players. I can go through other rookie quarterbacks and go, man, their first training camp, you heard a lot of chatter from players whoa, you should see him do this, you should see him do that. Oh my gosh, when he gets in there, it's going to be awesome. There never was that. And I think that's what it goes back to at a base level to a degree. Hey, you can win with Tua. There's no doubt about that. I don't doubt that. He is going in the right direction. But I don't know if he's ever going to get to the spot where he's superstar, I can carry the team when the receivers are in and out of the lineup, or the running back and the running game isn't working either. But I can tell you number 4 in Houston can do that, right? And I can go through a list of a bunch of other guys, not a bunch, but 8 or 10 guys in football that can do that as well. So I think, you mentioned it, the Burrow-Herbert success has certainly, put a little more pressure on the situation. And I think ultimately, listen, he played good last week. I know he threw the 2 interceptions and they were bad. He played good in London against Jacksonville too. But both games ended in losses against teams I would go, they were at least equal to or maybe better than, and they couldn't pull it out. And he's just not going to be a game changer, in my opinion. And the other thing I want you guys to watch a little bit this weekend, too, and I don't know, maybe it'll change now that I'm saying it, but, they're a little restricted in their play calling and playbook a little bit because he just doesn't have the arm power to throw the ball down the field or outside the numbers like some of the top quarterbacks. So everything is Gesicki and Waddle over the middle all the time. And I would think McDermott and Leslie Frazier see that. And they're going to have guys dropping all over in those areas. And that, to me, is a tough thing to make it in the NFL or be a superstar when you can't make the defense defend every part of the field.
Interesting.
Needs a certain support group. He needs a certain support system to make it work. Is that all I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great answer. I'll tell you who else needs a support group. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, San Francisco 49ers. I thought they were primed for a pretty good season. Jimmy Garoppolo is there, but last week he played terribly. Then he's had some injury concerns. What's going on in San Francisco? Because I thought they'd be a little further along. And I'll tag on to that. If they're not going to be further along, maybe they just put Jimmy aside and say, forget it. Let's just make this a development year for Trey Lance.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of things there. Of course, the spotlight's on them as well because of, some of the quarterback decisions they've made, through time. So, people are really looking at Shanahan and going wait, what the heck? And, of course, it was a little dicey this offseason as far as how they handled the whole quarterback situation, the draft, everything that, kind of went along with that conversation. So I think that makes people go like, wait, does Shanahan have a plan? What's he really doing here? First off, I don't want them to rush Trey Lance back into football. I mean, yeah, I like Kyle Shanahan. And even though I didn't have Trey Lance as my top 3 quarterbacks or anything like that, I root for all these guys. I like Trey Lance. I know he's a great young man and works hard, and I see talent, but he's not ready yet. What I would get worried is if they threw Trey Lance out in the fire is exactly what happened, is that he would get hurt because he's just so raw and he doesn't know how to play in the pocket or throw the ball away or just get the ball out of his hand all the time or recognize blitzes to where, you've invested a lot. Let's not just throw him out there because the fan base is mad and then he gets hurt and now he can't play next year either. That's what I would be at least a little careful. And if I talk to my friend, that's exactly what I would tell him. And hey, here's the other thing. The offense is still really good. Shanahan's still really good play caller and game plan designer. Your Garoppolo hurt again. Shocker. I mean, no, that's why they wanted to get rid of him and get something for him this offseason. And hey, like the rest of the context has to come in play too. Trent Williams didn't play last week. George Kittle hasn't been out there in a few weeks. Brandon Ayuk, their first rounder from last year, hasn't really produced the way they want. So they've had some things not work out, and it's unfortunate. And, of course, I root for the 49ers because of my buddy Shanahan. But, yeah, there's some issues, and, he's a big boy, but he's going to have to take some, criticism right now.
Speaking of criticism, I want to touch on a couple of coaches who've been in their spots for a long time. Starting with, I don't think you could have told me at any point this season that Week 7's matchup between the Jaguars and Seahawks, that Pete Carroll might be under more fire than Urban Meyer. And I don't know. I haven't read every article from the Jacksonville Times Union or the Seattle Tribune. I don't know, but I feel like Pete Carroll is on the hot seat. That's what it feels like. What is the likelihood, given Geno Smith's struggles, that they could lose to Urban Meyer's Jacksonville Jaguars and that Russell Wilson's return won't come in time to save Pete Carroll?
Well, I hear and read everything you're saying. I mean, it does seem like that's become a little bit of the conversation. I would hope we're not at that point yet. I mean, geez, he's only been like the second best coach in football for like the last 10 years. So like we can like give him a little leeway, I'd hope, to have a little bit of a slump here for one time in his career up in Seattle. It's been pretty special. I hope we haven't gotten that fickle as a fan base in Seattle or even around the nation to go, let's call for Pete Carroll's head. Like, no, not yet. But do I question some things? First off, Jacksonville's just as talented as Seattle. That's where I'm going to just start off the conversation right away. Seattle is not Seattle of 5 or 6 years ago.
Wait a minute.
There's nothing special.
Okay. I was about to say, I'm sorry. See, I was getting excited because I actually thought Jacksonville could have been better, and I know they've been competitive. So that's more of a commentary on Seattle than it is Jacksonville,
it is
what you're saying. Okay,
it is. Right.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. I mean, offensive line not that good. A bunch of defensive linemen that, just a casual fan won't even be able to say their names. You'd go, who are the corners for Seattle Seahawks? People go, what? I don't know. I mean, the running backs. Oh, Chris Carson can't play, so who's the running back? I mean, people don't even know. That's their team right now. So what says they're supposed to be dominating, let alone, this is where I will fault Pete Carroll a little bit for, is they're not giving Geno a chance, nor are they giving their team a chance. The two best players on their team, with Russell Wilson out and maybe other Jamal Adams. Exactly. And it's like they go out of their way not to throw them the ball. It's like, are they going into the week game planning going, let's make it a one-score game in the fourth quarter and not give it to our best guys so we can just be in a tight one? I mean, it's every week. I think if you took the other team off the field, they'd still be like, well, let's run the ball between the tackles and play through our defense and just get into a one-score game, and maybe we can pull it out. Like, stop with that crap. It's 2021 again. Okay, it's not 1989.
I think that's why people call it for his job.
I get it.
Feels like he hasn't caught up, keeping up with the times. He still wants to, which is ironic given what he's infamous for at the 1 yard line. But it feels like he just has not evolved with the times. The other coach I want to talk to you about.
John Schneider deserves a little criticism too. The GM deserves a little criticism too. Like we said, the team is not. They've missed on draft picks and some players that have not helped out either too. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We spent a lot of time this week talking about the job that Mike Tomlin won't take. But as for the task at hand, what's Pittsburgh got left? Like, it looks like, I mean, Cleveland's beat up, but they're getting healthier. We know what Baltimore can do. We know what Cincinnati can do. Is Pittsburgh just, going to be the worst team in the AFC North this year? No ifs, ands, or buts about it? Or coming off this bye going against the Browns, do they have a chance to reestablish themselves?
I'm not going to call it quits on Pittsburgh yet, but I am going to say that I think it's looking or trending in the direction that they're going to be the worst team in the AFC North. Yeah, I am. Again, I mean, hey, listen, that's a team I look at and go, if Russell Wilson doesn't want to stay in Seattle, I'm going to put money that he goes to Pittsburgh, or that'll be one of the teams he looks at next year. Like, right off the bat, that's what I'm going to say. I don't even know why I went there, but that's just what I wanted to say.
Hey,
all right,
just be first. Be ahead of the game.
I am. I just got ahead of it right there.
We can run this tape back. Yeah, exactly.
Their defense is good. There's no doubt. It's a legit top-end defense. What does scare me is the lack of depth on their front seven. That scares me a little. Just like you saw, 2 weeks ago against Seattle in the Sunday Night Football game, they kind of wore out in the second half. So that scares me a little, but still the defense is pretty damn elite. The other aspect is just, hey, Big Ben, not that he has to go win games, he just got to play solid football and not mess the game up. That's the biggest thing. And when you really go into their losses, and even, all their losses, it's been Big Ben doing one or two stupid things during the game that then compromises their ability to just keep the game close or let their defense win the game. So that's the big question here going forward. But, yeah, I like Cleveland to win the football game. I do. I just think their O-line's real deal. It's the best in football. It's the best coached run game in football. And I think their defense, like you said, is a little all over the place, but I don't think Pittsburgh's the type of offense that's going to be able to really expose it anyway. So, Pittsburgh, I got to see it to believe it, but I think right now it's trending to what you said. They're going to be last in the AFC North.
Say, bro, we gave you like 30 touches in this game. We rode you like Alvin Kamara.
That's right. We
were feeding you just now. I don't know if you realize. Go get a glass of water. Go take a break. Go get some Gatorade. You were carrying the rock in this segment. We appreciate you,
Mike.
Thanks.
He had no drops. He had no fumbles. He had several scores. Like the one that I'm still tripped out on this Sims. I'm still tripped out on. Jamar Chase is in the conversation already for best receiver in the league. Wow. You got some good hot takes.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
hey,
well, I just do what I see on film, and I see good. I see good.
Hey, man.
Man.
Hey,
I wish
peace out.
I wish the Yankees were as productive as you.